Greetings, this is Will Steffen from American International College. The purpose of this PowerPoint is to briefly review how to research responsibly using some of the databases you have access to as students at American International College. I want to go over some of the databases for finding credible research about literature and also review MLA style, both in-text citations and how to create a works cited page. So some of the databases and resources for research you have access to, you can get to by going, if you log into my AIC, make sure you're logged in, scroll down here to the Shea Library link, click on that. One thing you can do is just type a search term into the EBSCO discovery box right here, but I also want to remind you that you have access to some of these research and subject guides. So if you click on that, it takes you to this page. You can search for these by subject or just by scrolling down. If you go down here to English and literature, I think that's going to be the most useful, and it kind of condenses all of these resources for you. So the first one I want to look at is Academic Search Premier. If you click on that, and let's say you're writing a paper on Lysistrata, and maybe your search terms are Lysistrata and Aristophanes. So this first source that comes up is an academic journal. You see you have 48 sources that come up. Some of these might be theater reviews. Some of them might be more invested in discussing themes of this particular work. So this one looks interesting. I also want to remind you, you can kind of limit these by just looking for a full text so you have a direct link. This one, it shows that there is a PDF available. So this one seems like it might be interesting if you're writing about one of these things like gender identity or stereotypes or phallicism in this particular work. Here you have an abstract. You can figure out whether or not it's useful. There's also a helpful, it can read it to you. Here's the whole text. But it also has a PDF link to the full text. So one thing you can do is open this and either download it right to your computer or print it off. I want to remind you that of some of these links on the right-hand side here. One of the things you can do when you find a resource is email it to yourself. So you just type in your email address here. And what I'd really encourage you to do if you email it to yourself is just keep track of the citations as you go. So what you can do, we're going to be using MLA. Please remember that. So from this drop-down link where it says citation format, select MLA. Make sure that the PDF is included as a separate attachment, and then go ahead and send it to yourself. And that will show up in your inbox. It's a great way to kind of keep track of your research as you're going. The other thing you can do is, you can also just find a link to it, so you can email that to yourself as well if you don't want to get the PDF. But I think keeping the PDF is the easiest way to kind of go about this. So another thing you can do is the EBSCO, which is that main box that comes up right away. So if we look at EBSCO and we type in Lysistrata and gender roles, we get that same article comes up again. But I don't know, maybe this is an article that seems interesting too, embodying imperfect unity, womanhood, and synchronicity in anti-war protest. So let's say maybe you're interested in that. The same thing applies. Here there's a PDF link to this article that you can just open, and it provides an abstract so you can kind of tell whether or not this is going to be useful for the paper you want to write. Moving right along, I know students sometimes are also drawn to Wikipedia as an option for like finding some quick information. I don't mind if you use Wikipedia. I would prefer that you not cite it as a credible source of research in your actual paper. But I do want to just show you that Wikipedia can be helpful in kind of being a stepping stone to finding some credible research. So one thing You can do, let's say you're writing a paper on the first part of Henry IV, part one by Shakespeare, and you want to write about the character Falstaff. So you look up the Wikipedia page on Falstaff, you get all this information. But if you scroll to the bottom, there's usually not only links for places where they're citing research in the actual article down here, but there's links to other sources. Some of these might be direct links that'll, if it has a DOI, it can take you right to the page. So let's say you're interested in this article by Ellen Caldwell called Banish All the Worlds, Falstaff's Iconoclastic Threat to Kingship in 1 Henry IV. If you click on it, it takes us to this article that isn't, looks like it's HTML. It's not real pretty, kind of difficult to read. But one thing you can do is, let's see, if you go back, you can check and see if you have access to this through one of the other databases. So we know this article is called Banish All the World by Ellen Caldwell. So let's see if ProQuest has it. Yeah, so Falstaff's threat to kingship, we can use that as a search term. And yes, so it comes up here, and now we have a full text link to the PDF, and we also have the abstract. So we can click on this, and again, here's the full HTML text. It's a little bit prettier than that other version, but there's also the full text PDF, which will give us, you know, how the publication was actually appeared in the original publication. And this has the original page numbers, which is also going to be helpful when you go to, if you want to cite this particular article. So again, you have the same functions here. You can email it to yourself. You can also cite it. But again, if you're doing this, just make sure it's the most recent MLA, not APA. So MLA 8th edition. And then click done. And then it's going to yeah, so that's what the MLA 8th edition will look like. So again, as you're doing your research, you can just kind of copy paste this link into your bibliography or works cited page. Let's see, the other, you can also use Google Scholar, which will return, it might return fewer results, but if you type in Falstaff, the thing about Google Scholar is it sometimes doesn't have full text links. You usually need to look over kind of over here to see if it says something like this, PDF or HTML. So there's not a whole lot on this first page, but if we go to the second page, then we have a few PDF links. So maybe you're interested in Elizabethan colloquial English and the Falstaff plays. Click on this and it'll take you to a 35-page PDF of the article. Finally, you also have access to interlibrary loan. If, let's say, you find something that seems really relevant, but you don't, you can't request it, you can also go to interlibrary loan here on the main page and type in the citation information. Like if you find something on one of these databases that doesn't have the full text, or even if you find something down here in the works cited of a Wikipedia page or on Google Scholar, you can type in the information and then click submit, and the source will come to you in one form or another. The only thing is interlibrary loan usually takes a few days. Yeah, I'd encourage you to keep track of your citations as you're going, build your works cited page as you go, take notes on the article and keep track of the page numbers. So let's say you're reading this article, Banish All the World, and you want to use this quote like that the author says, I propose to read the play as a site of a Reformationist commentary. You want to keep track of the fact that that's on page 219 when you go to write your paper, so that you can cite it accordingly. Ellen Caldwell reads Henry IV Part 1 as a site of Reformationist commentary, and then cite it in MLA style, in parentheses, the author's last name and the page number. Please remember to close quotations before opening parentheses. Remember that the period follows the parentheses, not the quotation, and remember to cite the author's last name, then the page number. If you ever have any questions about how to cite in MLA style, maybe you're not used to MLA style, please refer to the Purdue OWL, the MLA style guide with your formatting questions. So if you just type Purdue OWL into Google, it'll take you to this page, and then you can go down here to the MLA guide, which will then kind of answer all your questions about like how to cite a book if you're using something from a book, or electronic sources. I think is helpful, since a lot of our research is done using electronic sources these days. But there's also helpful information here on reminding you about the rules of MLA in-text citations, the basics. So this is just a helpful resource for you to keep in mind as you're researching. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. Please let me know if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to reach out. And good luck with your research.